Diana Spencer had dreamed of the princess palaces she saw in fairy tales as a child. Golden doors, smiling servants, a magical world. But when she stood at the door of Buckingham Palace, everything was different. She said hello to the servant who opened the door, but he didn't answer, didn't even raise his eyes. Diana realized at that moment that this wasn't like in fairy tales. It was a cold world with 775 rooms, 1,514 doors, 40,000 light bulbs, and separate protocol rules for each one. What she saw and learned would change her life forever. November 5th, 1980. Thursday morning. Diana Spencer was getting ready looking in the mirror in her small apartment in London. Today was one of the most important days of her life. She was going to visit Buckingham Palace officially. She would meet Charles's family for the first time, come face to face with Queen Elizabeth. Diana carried a small mirror and lipstick in her bag. She remembered the fairy tales she had read about princesses since childhood. Cinderella's entrance to the palace, Sleeping Beauty's enchanted castle. Diana had always dreamed of such a moment. "Today I'm really going to a princess palace," she murmured to herself, just like in fairy tales. The palace Diana imagined was like this: huge golden doors, kind smiling servants, crystal chandeliers, colorful carpets, and beauty in every corner. Maybe the Queen would even greet her with a hug, saying, "Welcome, Diana." At 2:30 p.m., the royal car came to pick up Diana. The driver looked very formal, didn't look at Diana at all, just opened the door and waited. "Thank you," Diana said politely. The driver didn't answer at all. As Diana sat in the car, she was excited, but also a bit nervous. Maybe the driver was very concentrated, she thought. He must be excited about carrying the Queen. When she saw the exterior view of Buckingham Palace, Diana's heart raced. It was a huge, imposing structure, but it didn't look colorful and warm like in fairy tales. It was more gray, serious and cold. When the car arrived at the main gate, Diana held her breath. This is the moment, she thought. The magical doors will open just like in fairy tales. But when the doors opened, what Diana saw was very different from what she had imagined. Standing before her was a tall man in a suit, with no facial expression at all. This was Mr. Bennet, the palace's head doorkeeper. Diana got out of the car and approached with a smiling face. "Hello, I'm Diana Spencer. What a beautiful palace." Mr. Bennet didn't look at Diana at all. He didn't even raise his eyes. He just leaned forward and said in a cold voice, "Lady Diana Spencer, please follow." Diana was surprised. "Excuse me, did you hear me?" I said hello. Mr. Bennet turned and looked at Diana. There was no expression on his face. "Lady Diana Spencer, according to protocol, servants do not chat with guests. Please follow." Diana's mouth fell open. Servants do not chat with guests. What did this mean? At her home, servants always talked to her, smiled, asked how she was. Diana followed Mr. Bennet into the palace, and the scene she saw both enchanted and frightened her. The place she entered was the grand entrance hall. The ceiling was so high that Diana had to lean her head back to look. There were crystal chandeliers, but not colorful like in fairy tales, very serious and cold. There were marble columns and gold inlay details, but the atmosphere felt cold, not warm. "Wow," Diana whispered. "This is so big." Mr. Bennet stopped and turned around. "Lady Diana Spencer, loud speaking inside the palace is against protocol. Please follow quietly." Diana nodded with her face turning red. She had already made her first protocol mistake. Walking through the long corridors, Diana examined her surroundings. The walls were covered with paintings, but all very serious, all portraits of old men. There were no colorful, cheerful pictures like in fairy tales. Everything looked very formal, very official. 775 rooms. Mr. Bennet suddenly spoke. 1,514 doors, 40,000 light bulbs, 78 bathrooms, 92 offices, 19 staterooms. Diana was surprised when she heard these numbers. 775 rooms. This isn't a house, it's like a small city. Mr. Bennet looked at Diana sternly. Buckingham Palace is not a house, Lady Diana Spencer. It is a royal residence, and every room, every area, has its own special protocol rules. Diana swallowed. Protocol rules. This was the second time she heard this word today. How many rules were there? After a long walk, Mr. Bennet stopped in front of a door. "Blue drawing room," he said. "His Royal Highness Prince Charles and Her Majesty the Queen are waiting for you." Diana's heart began beating wildly. Queen Elizabeth, the real queen. Diana took a deep breath before entering the door and smiled like a fairy tale princess. But when the door opened, what Diana saw was again different from what she expected. The room was very large and magnificent, but cold. Queen Elizabeth was standing by the window, holding a teacup in her hand. She looked very small, very serious. Charles was also at the other end of the room. Diana entered the room and didn't know what to do. Should she run and hug the Queen? Should she shake hands? How should she behave? "Ah," Diana spoke in a cheerful voice. Your Majesty. Good morning. Very pleased to meet you." Queen Elizabeth froze. The teacup stopped in mid-air. Charles also looked surprised. There was glacial silence in the room. Diana didn't understand what she had done. "Did I make a mistake?" she thought. Queen Elizabeth put her cup on the table and approached Diana. She spoke in a very formal, very cold voice. "Lady Diana Spencer, according to protocol when meeting royal family members, a curtsy is performed and speech is awaited." Diana understood nothing. "Curtsy? Curtsy," Charles interjected, bowing to show respect. Diana's face turned bright red. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know." Diana hurriedly tried to bow but didn't know how to do it. She leaned forward, but this wasn't a curtsy. It was like saying hello. Queen Elizabeth saw this and slightly frowned. "Lady Diana Spencer, have you received protocol training?" "No, Your Majesty," Diana replied embarrassedly. "No one told me anything." Queen Elizabeth looked at Charles. Her look seemed to say, "This girl is unprepared. Let's sit," Queen Elizabeth said coldly. Diana went toward a chair, but the Queen said, "No." According to protocol, guests sit after royal members have sat. Diana stopped embarrassedly. "I'm sorry." Queen Elizabeth and Charles sat. Then Diana sat, but she had sat in the wrong place again. "Lady Diana Spencer," Queen Elizabeth spoke patiently but sternly, "this chair is only for royal family members. Please use that chair." Diana got up embarrassedly and sat in the indicated chair. So far, she had made 3 protocol mistakes. "Would you like tea?" Queen Elizabeth asked. "Yes, please." Diana answered very enthusiastically. Queen Elizabeth served tea, but Diana didn't know how to hold the cup. At home, drinking tea wasn't so rule-bound. Diana held the cup and began to drink, but she was doing it wrong. She was making noise. Queen Elizabeth looked at Diana. "Lady Diana Spencer, according to royal tea protocol, it is consumed quietly." Diana's hands trembled as she took the cup. I'm sorry. I didn't know so many rules. Obviously, Queen Elizabeth said coldly. Charles tried to intervene. Mother Diana is still learning. She needs time. Time? Queen Elizabeth looked at Diana. If you want to join the royal family, Lady Diana Spencer, learning these protocols is essential. Diana nodded. Of course, Your Majesty. I will learn. In how much time? Queen Elizabeth asked. Diana didn't know what answer to give. A few weeks. Queen Elizabeth and Charles didn't laugh, but looked at Diana as if she had said something very naive. Lady Diana Spencer. Queen Elizabeth spoke seriously. Buckingham Palace has 47 different rooms. Each room has separate protocol. There are 15 different dining protocols, 23 different formal dress codes, 12 different types of curtsy, and these are just basic rules. Diana's mouth fell open. 47 different rooms? Yes, and you've already made 4 protocol mistakes just in this room. Diana's heart began to tighten. 4 mistakes. First, Queen Elizabeth began counting. You greeted me incorrectly. Not good morning, but good morning, Your Majesty. Second, you didn't perform the correct curtsy. Third, you sat in the chair I indicated. Fourth, you made noise while drinking tea. Diana shrank more with each rule she heard. I'm sorry. I really didn't know. Queen Elizabeth softened a bit. Lady Diana Spencer, I understand this is new for you, but joining the royal family is not a game. This is a very serious responsibility. I understand, Diana said in a barely audible voice. You will receive protocol training, Queen Elizabeth continued. Lady Fermoy will work with you every day, 3 hours, for 6 months. Diana was shocked. For 6 months? Minimum 6 months, Queen Elizabeth confirmed. If you can learn. Diana realized at that moment that royal life wasn't like in fairy tales. This was a very difficult, very rule-bound, very cold world. Do you have any other questions? Queen Elizabeth asked. Diana wanted to ask many things, but didn't dare. No, Your Majesty. Then the meeting is finished. Queen Elizabeth stood up. Diana also hurriedly stood up. Lady Diana Spencer, Queen Elizabeth added, as a final word. Being royal is not simple. If you truly plan to marry Charles, you need to prepare yourself, because the royal family does not tolerate mistakes. Diana nodded. I understand, Your Majesty. Charles escorted Diana to the door. I'm sorry, Diana. My mother is very serious, but she's right. We have to learn these rules. Charles, Diana asked in a worried voice, can I succeed in this? Charles took Diana's hand. Of course you can succeed. You just need time and patience. As Diana left the palace, her head was spinning. Her fairy tale princess dreams had vanished. Real royal life was very different. Cold, rule-bound, difficult. In the car on the way home, Diana was thinking. 775 rooms, 47 rooms, 15 dining protocols, 23 dress codes, 12 types of curtsy. These numbers frightened her. That night, Diana called her trusted friend. Carolyn, I saw the Queen today. How was it? Carolyn asked excitedly. Very different, Diana replied in a sad voice. In fairy tales, princesses look very happy. But real royal life is very difficult. What do you mean? Everything has rules. How you'll sit, how you'll speak, how you'll drink tea. Everything. But you can learn this, Carolyn encouraged. I don't know, Diana confessed. I'm going to take protocol lessons for 6 months, 3 hours every day. 6 months, Carolyn was surprised. Yes, and these are just basic rules. Diana couldn't sleep at all that night. Theween's cold looks and endless rules were in her mind. The next morning, Diana had a big surprise waiting for her. When her door knocked and she opened it, an elderly, serious-looking woman stood before her. "Lady Diana Spencer, I am Lady Fermoy. I am responsible for your royal protocol training." Diana was surprised. "Isn't it too early? It's only 8 o'clock. The royal family wakes up at 6 in the morning." Lady Fermoy replied coldly, "You need to get used to it, too." Lady Fermoy entered Diana's apartment and looked around. It was a small, ordinary apartment. Her face showed disapproval. "This apartment is not suitable for royal standards." Lady Fermoy took notes. "It will need to be changed." "But I love this place," Diana protested. "Loving is not important. Being suitable is important," Lady Fermoy replied. "Now let's begin. First rule, a royal member never uses the word love. Like is used." Diana looked confused. "Can I use the word love?" "No. Too emotional. The royal family expresses distant emotions." Lady Fermoy took out a thick book from her bag. "Buckingham Palace Protocol Manual, 847 pages. You need to finish this month." When Diana took the book, she felt its weight. "This is very thick." "This is just the basic book," Lady Fermoy explained. "Then there are Windsor Castle Protocol, 623 pages, Balmoral Protocol, 445 pages, and State Dinner Protocol, 721 pages, books." Diana held her breath. "How many pages total?" 2,636 pages of basic protocol information," Lady Fermoy calculated, "but these are just written rules. Practical training is separate." "Practical training?" "Yes, curtsy practice, walking practice, sitting practice, speaking practice, dining practice." Diana's head began to spin. "Are there really so many things?" "Lady Diana Spencer," Lady Fermoy spoke seriously, "you are no longer just a girl. You are preparing to join the royal family. This is a very big responsibility. The first lesson was performing curtsies." Lady Fermoy showed Diana how to bow. Right foot back, knees slightly bent, head down, eyes on ground, hands at sides. Lady Fermoy listed the instructions. Diana tried, but couldn't manage. "This is very difficult." "Again," Lady Fermoy commanded. Diana tried 20 times. She did it wrong 20 times. "More practice needed." Lady Fermoy took notes. "You will do 100 curtsy practices per day." 100 curtsies. Diana was surprised. "Yes, there are different types of curtsies for different people. For the Queen, for Prince Philip, for Charles, for other family members." The next lesson was walkie lessons. Diana thought she walked normally, but she was wrong. "Steps too big," Lady Fermoy corrected. "Hands swinging too much, head turning too fast. So how should I walk?" "Steps 45 centimeters, hands fixed at sides of body, head fixed looking forward, shoulders tense," Lady Fermoy showed. When Diana tried to walk this way, she looked like a robot. "Isn't this too artificial?" Diana asked. "The royal family is not artificial. They are elegant," Lady Fermoy corrected. "You will also learn to become elegant." In the afternoon, they moved to speaking lessons. Diana's way of speaking was also wrong. "You speak too fast," Lady Fermoy noted. "Too emotional, too intimate. Is being intimate bad?" "The royal family maintains distance," Lady Fermoy explained. "You can never say, 'Oh my God.' You will say, 'Goodness.' You can never say, 'Yeah.' You will say, 'Yes.' You can never say, 'Hi.' You will say, 'Good morning, afternoon, evening.'" When Diana heard these rules, her morale was broken. "But if I speak this way, I won't be me. When you become royal, you is not important. Title is important. Throughout that week, Diana's life turned into hell. Every day Lady Fermoy came at 8 in the morning and gave lessons until 6 in the evening. Dining protocol was one of the most difficult. Rules Diana had to learn. 47 different types of cutlery and their uses, 23 different types of plates and when to use them, 15 different types of glasses and which drink for each, which food to hold with which hand, how big each bite should be, how not to make chewing sounds. Diana got confused while trying to learn these rules. This fork is for fish, this for meat, this for salad, Lady Fermoy explained. If you confuse them, it's a protocol violation. What happens if I confuse them? Diana asked. The Queen notices. Charles is embarrassed. The media writes, Lady Fermoy listed. A scandal breaks out. Diana came home exhausted every day. Her roommates noticed she was changing. Diana, you don't laugh anymore, Carolyn said worriedly. I can't laugh, Diana replied sadly. There are rules even for laughing. Royal family doesn't laugh loudly, smiles quietly. This is ridiculous. Virginia got angry. You're a natural person. They're trying to turn you into a robot. Maybe I need to become a robot, Diana said in a tired voice. Lady Fermoy says emotions are a luxury for the royal family. 2 weeks later, Diana had her second palace visit. This time she was going prepared, but she was still very nervous. Entering Buckingham Palace, Diana tried to remember everything she had learned. Enter with right foot, head up, hands at sides, eyes forward. When Mr. Bennet greeted her, Diana applied the correct protocol. Good afternoon. I am Lady Diana Spencer. Mr. Bennet looked a bit surprised. Good afternoon, Lady Diana Spencer. This time they took Diana to a different room. White drawing room. When Diana entered, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were there. Diana performed a perfect curtsy. Good afternoon, Your Majesty. Good afternoon, Your Royal Highness. Queen Elizabeth nodded approvingly. Lady Diana Spencer, I see there's improvement. Thank you, Your Majesty, Diana replied modestly. This time Diana sat in the correct chair, drank tea quietly, and applied speaking rules. But this didn't feel natural to her. She felt like a robot. Diana, Prince Philip asked, how is protocol training going? Quite well, Your Royal Highness, Diana replied. Actually, she wanted to say, very difficult, but she couldn't say this. How much progress have you made? Queen Elizabeth asked. So far, I have learned the basic level of fundamental curtsy, walking, speaking, and dining protocols. Diana replied like a robot. Queen Elizabeth seemed satisfied. Good, but there's still a long way to go. After the meeting ended, Charles accompanied Diana. You've improved a lot, Charles praised. Thank you, Diana replied. Actually, she wanted to say, I feel like a robot. Diana? Charles paused. You don't look happy. Diana wanted to look at Charles, but there was a protocol for making eye contact with royal members. She didn't want to say something wrong. I am quite content, Your Royal Highness, Diana replied according to protocol. Diana, you're with Charles. Charles laughed. You can talk normally with me. But Lady Fermoy? Diana began. What did Lady Fermoy say? You are also a member of the royal family. Protocol should be applied toward you too. Charles looked sad. Diana, you're changing. I have to change, Diana said in a low voice. On the way home, Diana looked in the mirror. She really had changed. Natural Diana was gone. In her place was a robot filled with protocol rules. That night she asked her friends, "Am I still me?" "No," Virginia answered honestly. "You now resemble a protocol machine." "But I have to be this," Diana defended. "The royal family wants it this way." "But what do you want?" Carolyn asked. Diana thought. Actually, she didn't know what she wanted anymore. She wanted to be royal, but she didn't want to lose herself. 3 months passed. Diana had improved a lot in protocols. She no longer made any mistakes, but her friends didn't recognize her. "Diana, you don't make jokes anymore," Carolyn said. "Royal family is not humorous. They are witty," Diana automatically replied. "Diana, are you listening to me right now?" Virginia got angry. "You're talking like a robot." Diana stopped at that moment. Virginia was right. She was now talking with protocol rules, behaving with protocol rules, feeling with protocol rules. What am I doing?" Diana whispered. "You're losing yourself," Carolyn said sadly. That night, Diana looked in the mirror for a long time. Who was this girl opposite her? Diana Spencer or Protocol Princess? But it was too late now. In 4 months, there would be an engagement ceremony. Diana couldn't go back anymore. When Lady Fermoy came the next day, Diana asked her, "Lady Fermoy, can I ever stay natural?" "What do you mean?" Lady Fermoy asked. "Can I be myself?" "Sometimes." Lady Fermoy looked at Diana for a long time. "Lady Diana Spencer, after becoming royal, there's no such thing as yourself. Only title remains." "Never?" "Never." That day, Diana understood that all the princess stories in fairy tales were lies. Being a real princess meant stopping being yourself. But it was too late now. Diana Spencer was slowly dying. Protocol Princess was being born in her place. This was just the beginning. The real difficulties were yet to come. Because protocol rules wouldn't just be limited to her behavior, they would also penetrate her soul. At the end of that night, Diana understood that her first entrance to Buckingham Palace wasn't just passing through a door. It was leaving her old life and entering a new world. And in this new world, there was no place for Diana Spencer. There was only a place for the future Princess of Wales. She had never seen princesses in fairy tales taking etiquette lessons with anyone. But real life was very different from fairy tales. Diana Spencer's last days passed like this, getting lost among protocol rules, losing herself piece by piece. 6 months later, at the engagement ceremony, she would perform a perfect protocol performance. But she would no longer be Diana Spencer, but a created royal robot. And the saddest part was that she was the only person who realized this.